Well, here we go. Yes, what's the deal, Donald? And what's going to happen? And perhaps what can you learn about what just happened? And the man who says life is a deal, so you need to learn the art of the deal. That's our thoughts for inconvenient ideas today. Give that some thought, and we'll be ready to go right now. Yes. Now, one of the things that hopefully you see is I didn't record this on Friday or Saturday. Actually, I'm doing it right now on Monday. Now, that's the wonderful thing about what I oftentimes point out that most people miss. I can do it right now. Point of the moment. If you're writing an article and publishing it, it's very hard. It usually has to be written 2 or 3 or maybe a long time before you actually get it to the audience. And in that time, lots of things can change and happen. If you're making a movie, you know, you could make a movie about something, and by the time it is all put together and produced and ready for the marketplace, things could have radically changed. Well, see, I have the privilege in many ways of knowing that if something happens that may be important and significant, I can think about it, and I'm thinking about things like this all the time. That's what happens to you when you've been a broadcaster for as long as I've been a broadcaster. Everything I read, everything I encounter, every bumper sticker I see, I'm always thinking, how could I make this into maybe a radio or a television program right now? However, I also found out that when I talked about point of the moment, somebody sent me a note and it said, the power of point of the moment is to be in it, to be right in what is happening right now. Now, of course, now you think about it, that is happening in some of your live television when right as the guns are going off or just after the accident has happened, there are reporters and correspondents who are right there, point of the moment. That's a hard and oftentimes dangerous place to be. And the problem also is that trying to do it right now, you may say a lot of dumb things. That's why when an event happens, I usually say that I'm going to wait 24, maybe to 48 to 72 hours before talking about it. That's what I'm going to do. Donald Trump has made a deal, and it is now going out and it's being published. And I haven't read all of the details yet. But before I even say anything about it, now, most people aren't going to do this. They're going to try and talk about it right now because that's what their producer says. Well, I have found in my many years that probably let all of those people do the talking and do the first words. Let them have the first word because I don't want the first word. I want the last word. Think about that. I want to be the one who perhaps a little bit later, with a little more thought and a little more research and a little more, hopefully use of wisdom, I say something that has a touch of wisdom, insight, and truth, and it can kind of sit there as maybe the last word. Remember that now. I don't know what's going to happen or what the deal is going to be like. But by the way, that's exactly what Trump says. We will see. he does not know if the deal will work for sure. He knows that he's going to make the best deal he can, and he will not make a bad deal. He will walk away from what he thinks is a bad deal. It can be pretty good for the other side, but it has to be better for his side. Now, he might be wrong about that, but he has understood. And of course, please remember this. I oftentimes say to young men and women, try and write your first book before you're 40. Doesn't even have to be a good book. Just start writing a book. And by the way, now with AI, it's really easy to do. Then, as I tell people, whenever anybody asks you at work or anything else in life saying, well, how's it going for you? And you say, well, I'm writing a book. Now, if you say that, what's probably going to happen? They're going to say, well, what's it about? Now you're having a conversation. And perhaps that's going to be something that's going to demonstrate that you're above average. Now, please keep in mind, part of the thing you have to understand about deal making is about half of the people in the world and in a group are below average. Be careful. The person you're dealing with might be below average. Be careful. The person you might be dealing with is way above average in how to make a good deal just for them. Now, here's what I'm saying is, do that. Donald Trump wrote his first book at the age of 39. Yeah, 40 years ago. And it was called The Art of the Deal. And it became a bestseller. It actually started him on his trail of business development. And then he had learned that if you want to be in business today, that all business is show business and all business is deal making. And so he determined to become the person who could tell people about how to make a deal. And it was a powerful book. In fact, I've oftentimes said that many of the people, if you are going to criticize Donald Trump, which is fine, obviously hundreds of thousands, millions of people do, you probably should be smart enough to do at least what I did, because when he was running for president, I obviously had some idea about him. I think I'd watched some of The Apprentice, and my daughter had written a book, and she had been able to write about him. I think she had an interview with him, or maybe just was able to arrange a conversation with him or one of his colleagues. In effect, I said, well, what's it? Well, so I went out and bought Art of the Deal, and I bought 2 or 3 other books. So I read them out. And I found out that this guy is exactly what he says. He's just full of ideas. Yeah. Maybe inconvenient ideas. And as someone has pointed out, and this is why I'm keeping the title, an inconvenient idea might be one that you don't like. But my friend said, there's a very good chance, Stan, that a very good idea is inconvenient for some people. It might be good for 80% of the population, but it might be inconvenient for 20%. For instance, what if Donald Trump came forward and said, right now, I'm going to lower the accepted credit card rate to no more than 10%. Wow! For most of the people, that's a great idea. Except, there's going to be a lot of people who make their living in the credit card industry. And the difference between 10% and 18 and 24% is a business killer. So that's a very inconvenient idea for them. Well, here's where I'm going with all of this for today. All right. Life is full of deals. When I said I do to Karen many, many years ago, um, and she said, I do, we made a deal. I promised to love, obey forever. And she promised to love, obey through thickness or thin forever. That was the deal. That was the deal. Now, interestingly enough, now my New York City daughter, the one who, had a part of Trump and is very much a New York City girl right now. Her favorite expression is, here's the deal. When she's describing something, she's saying, here's the deal. Now, what happens with Donald Trump is he's a master at the art of the deal, and it is an art form. It really is. It's not scientific anyway. It's an art form. It's a performance. Yeah. Negotiating is a performance. He knows that. In fact, he came out and said, the Iranians are pretty good negotiators. The thing is, if he says so, Trump is the master negotiator. That's all. He got so many of the deals, and he came out and said to the Japanese, he said, we don't charge more than 3 or 4% tariff on Japanese cars that come into America. And he said, but you charge 50% tariff on American cars that go to Japan. It was about that much. He said, no deal. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to have a different deal. And so he's going to get a different deal. Life is making good deals, making good choices, and avoiding bad deals and making bad choices. The world is full of deals. It's pointed out that even someone came to Jesus and said, hey, what's it going to take for me to inherit eternal life? And in effect, Jesus kind of said, well, here's what you got to do. Or here's the deal. In fact, many of our religious traditions have implications of that we make deals to each other and we make deals between the hereafter. And so, I oftentimes say, make good deals. Just make good deals. The more good deals you make, the more people you will make happy. Now, I had a wonderful situation one time where I introduced 2 people who had a mutual interest. I can tell you the story in some detail. It was a young man and an older man, and they had something that they were both interested in. And I brought them together, and they made a deal. Later on, the older man came to me and said, Stan, thanks for introducing me to that kid. He's a nice kid. You cannot believe what a deal I got from him. I don't think he knows just how valuable those things are. I felt kind of bad. The next day, I met the young man, and he comes and says, Stan, thank you for bringing that guy over. And he bought 5 of those things, 5 of those jugs. You cannot believe how much money I got from it. Both of them thought that they had gotten the good deal. And you know what? That is a good deal. This program is about trying to find ways to make a lot of good deals in life. And I'd love to hear from you. Inconvenient ideas. Many of the inconvenient ideas are simply good ideas. And we need to talk about them and see how we can apply them to our life and to our business. And perhaps even to our spirit and soul. Because guess what? You have one. And you're going to have to deal with your soul. That's right. Everybody is dealing with their soul. A soul deal. Hey, more to talk about. Maybe we'll do more conversing about that this week. But have a good Monday, and hopefully it'll get off to a good start, and that you will find ways to serve others. Because if you serve others a lot and serve them well, good deals will tend to come your way. There's kind of a karma to it, kind of a what you sow, you will reap to it. What you bless will be returned to you. Maybe that's the deal. Thank you so much for taking time. That was a deal that you gave me your time, and I'm very, very grateful. Reach out to me because I can probably help you. Stan at witradio.net. Stan at witradio.net. Bye for now.